but technical difficulties seem to have been resolved in the time since then. Uh, so I think we're good to go for this first real big fun post game of the season. Just gonna wait a. All right, and Jackson tells me we're up on all our platforms. How's it going, everybody? My name is Tom Petrini, and this is a live edition of the KENS 5 Big Fundamental Spurs podcast. Post game, this is after the Spurs ended their preseason with a rough 128 to 106 loss in Houston, and it was not as close as that final score indicates. This game was ugly, sloppy, bad. Spurs have been talking about shooting more threes, and they started the game 3 of 27 from deep. Not what you're trying to do. Um, Other than that, you know, things went pretty good. But yeah, you're not going to win many games when you start 3 of 27 from deep. Um, so what else happened in this game? Because obviously the score was a mess. Uh, Devin Vassell looked really good. 18 points on 8 of 13 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3. He added 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. That's 3 preseason NBA games for Devin Vassell, 3 games in double-figure scoring with multiple steals. Kid's really good. Tonight, I was really impressed. I mean, his defense, obviously, his shooting, yes, we knew that. Um, but this was a guy who came in with um, not really questions, but talk about how if he can continue to improve on the ball, uh, both as a shot creator and a passer, wow, he's going to be really good. And he's shown flashes of that in all 3 of these games. So while the Spurs have lost all 3 of those games, it's been really, really fun watching Devin Vassell play, guard James Harden, get buckets. He looks like a pro. He is a NBA ready rookie, and he'll probably play. Uh, like I said on draft night, my guess was more minutes than any rookie since Kawhi, probably. Um, how's it going, everybody? It's good to see you in here. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer as many as I can. I wanted to get here a little earlier, but with the way they're doing the post game stuff now, it's all in Zoom, and it's they're we're all still figuring that part out. So you know, as soon as I'm done talking to Pop and the players, I'm gonna be trying to get on for something like this. Um, Pop has owned me twice in the past week, so I it would have been wise for me to tread lightly post game, but I asked pretty directly how he thought the team had done in their stated goal of playing the bubble style here in the preseason, and he very candidly said not very good. He has not been super stoked about the ball movement. He said it's sticking a little bit, but he said that the Rockets are an especially difficult matchup to run the kind of stuff that the Spurs want to run. He said there wasn't enough penetration, and the Rockets did a really good job of stopping that with their switching. DeMar DeRozan sort of agreed with that. Um, and I asked both Murray, both of them had good games. DeMar finished with 21 points, did most of his damage at the free throw line. DeJounte, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 turnovers, and a steal. Um, but I asked them both what needs to improve on defense. Um, DeRozan said it was communication and a sense of urgency. Said, you know, energy and just wanting it. Um, that they need to just get after it more defensively. And that's the right thing to say. But it's also worth noting that the personnel is a little different than it was in the bubble. Some of that is about injuries to players like Derek White and Keldon Johnson. Uh, as of the latest update, Keldon is going to be back sooner than Derek. Keldon pops it hopefully in the next couple weeks, but Derek might be longer than that. Um, But also, Rudy Gay has been starting these games, and he looks like a bench power forward in today's league. Um, he's really struggled on the perimeter. There were a couple of times in this game he was matched up against Eric Gordon. It did not go great. Um, you know, he he's got a big body, but he doesn't have the foot speed, even with the added emphasis in the offseason that he talked about on adding mobility to his game. Um, he does not have the foot speed to go on the perimeter. And the Rockets, I mean, they didn't quite hunt it out, but they found it enough. And yeah, they do look slow. Certainly a lot slower than they played in the bubble. So the question is, how do you improve that? And uh, you know, might the Spurs be able to play more of a bubble style with this older personnel, with Rudy Gay and LaMarcus Aldridge in the starting lineup? And you know, maybe. Um, it would certainly help if they hit some shots. LaMarcus Aldridge and Trey Lyles, especially, have struggled all preseason to hit shots. Tonight, Aldridge 3 of 12 from the floor, missed all 5 of his 3-point attempts. Lyles 1 of 4 from the floor, missed both of his threes. Um, and these guys have just really not been super close on their jump shots to start the uh, preseason. It doesn't really matter where they're from. Could be from 3, could be in the post, wherever it is. It hasn't been working for them, and they're both good shooters. You should have confidence that those numbers will turn themselves around a little bit, similar to how the Spurs probably won't shoot 3 of 27 from 3 in many games. Um, it was absolutely an outlier shooting night. But yeah, I think you're right. The effort is really the more concerning part of the evening. And there were parts of this game where the Spurs looked really locked in. And then there were parts of this game where the Spurs let go of the rope. So, I mean, it's a preseason game, but Pop has said for a couple of days now that he wanted to treat this as, closer to a dress rehearsal for the regular season, letting the starters play more starter minutes. And this looked a lot more like a last game of a preseason where everybody was already over it than a dress rehearsal for the real thing. So, a lot of things to iron out for this Spurs team. They're missing Derek White's shot creation and defense. They're missing Keldon Johnson's wing defense and outside shooting and everything else that both of those players do. But they shouldn't be looking this bad. And it's improvable, but some changes need to come. Jackson, would I start Devin Vassell over Lonnie Walker? Maybe. I mean, Lonnie had 1 point tonight. He didn't really play bad. He had 2 shots and 2 assists and played pretty good defense. Defense could have been a little better, but I mean, he was fine. There were a couple of drives where he could have been more aggressive, and it comes down to consistency. He had a team high 17 last night, or not last night, but the last game, and probably could have had closer to 30 if he played, you know, beyond the third quarter in that one, and then close to a goose egg in this one. Um, he and part of that is the unselfishness of this team, right? He saw DeJounte Murray getting after it. He saw DeMar getting buckets. Those two and Devin Vassell really carried the offense for stretches of this game. But yeah, Lonnie needs to be a little bit more consistent for sure. And that was one of the main things he struggled with last year, and that's going to be one of the areas for growth this year. Um, but the shooting from the decision making, first of all, from DeJounte Murray, he was really good tonight. He was crisp and good scoring moves. He was fairly efficient. He missed all four of his threes, but everybody missed their threes. Um, do I think we'll ever see the four guard lineup again? I don't know. I don't think it happens until Derek White gets back because, you know, with Derek, DeJounte, Lonnie, DeMar, Yak, in the bubble, you can make an argument that that's the best five players that they had available. You know, right now, the roster doesn't look like that. So we'll see what happens there. And we'll see how this, roster lineup rotation shakes out for the rest of the year. I don't think it's carved into stone that Rudy Gay. I I really hope that's not the case. Um, Devin Vassell has played over 25 minutes in each of these games, and he's been very, very good. I mean, can we talk about this rookie for a second? Because I mean, man, he looks ready. He. I'm just gonna say he's been the best two-way player for this team in the preseason so far, and the most consistent. Um, he's been that good, and um, he's smart, he's tenacious, he always in the right spot. Um, so if nothing else good came from these three preseason games, you can take away that Devin Vassell looks like he's going to be a stud. Um, you know, I'm not ready to say rookie of the year yet, but he's going to be the best Spurs rookie in a long time, and he's going to be really fun to watch develop. Um, and he could even one day be that guy that the Spurs it's their guy. You know, I've seen a lot of people talking about how the Spurs have a lot of guys, but they don't have the guy yet. And Vassell, it's only been three preseason games, but he's looked better in these three preseason games than really anybody else on the Spurs. Um, should LaMarcus Aldridge keep shooting threes? That's an excellent question. It's one that I've seen discussed a lot on the timeline. The answer for me personally is yes, absolutely. He should keep shooting the threes. Um, this has been outlier bad shooting for LaMarcus Aldridge. Last year, he shot close to 40% from three on about 4 attempts per game. I think he should get more than 4 attempts from three per game this year. Um, and I think that he will probably hit maybe not 40%, but I think above 35%. Um, I think it would be a huge mistake for LaMarcus Aldridge and for the team if they saw these first three preseason games and they were like, all right, well, that 3-point shooting experiment was fun, but it's over now. No, that doesn't make any sense, right? You let him keep shooting it until the shot falls, and then once that starts happening, it's like, oh, okay, this is good. Um, yeah, it looks really bad when you miss all the shots. But if he's hitting them at a 37, 38% clip, he should absolutely continue to shoot. Um, and that's the same thing for all of these guys. Every player on this roster, except for Jakob Poeltl, should be shooting. I saw somebody mention Poeltl in the comments. Only played 10 minutes, um, and that kind of goes back to what Pop said after the game, where it's a matchup thing, right? Because the Rockets, I mean, they've got Boogie Cousins, but he didn't play tonight. So uh, their big man for the evening was Christian Wood, who, I mean, cooked LaMarcus Aldridge. Like, LaMarcus Aldridge had a bad night trying to hang with Christian Wood. Christian Wood had 27 points, 10 rebounds. And I mean, he just looked too fast, too versatile, too good for Aldridge to be guarding for 30 feet of the court. It was he put a couple of triples in, couple of mid-range jumpers, got to the rim. Um, not a good matchup for LaMarcus Aldridge. And then that's have um, Rudy Gay on the perimeter with his slow feet. There was at one point in this game a lineup that was Patty Mills, DeMar DeRozan, Devin Vassell, Rudy Gay, and LaMarcus Aldridge. Those four veterans should never be on the court at the same time ever again. Um, it was rough, and especially when James Harden is being guarded by Patty Mills on purpose, running pick and roll, targeting LaMarcus Aldridge. It's ugly. That's not ideal. So yeah, this was a tough matchup for the Spurs. And it seems like they stubbornly tried to do the thing that they wanted to do instead of acknowledging that the matchup was bad and maybe they should just match up. But it's the preseason, right? So how much of this game and how much of this preseason do we say, it's just the preseason, and how much do we say that's concerning, and how much do we say that's exciting? Uh, I think we've gone over pretty well what's important, right? The final score is not important. The way they play is important. Are important, and the development is important. The shooting struggles are less important to me because that's something where there'll be regression to the mean. But the the one part of this preseason that is pretty concerning moving forward is just the rotation and roster management, right? Um, Obviously, two games against the Rockets and the Thunder are also kind of a smaller, more rangy, athletic team. But the stuff that the Spurs tried to do this preseason, for the most part, didn't work in terms of getting that bubble style to carry over. And it's going to become a question for Pop of, all right, well, do we just scrap that and go for more personnel that we had in the bubble, or do we stick with this and see if we can get it to work? And I don't know. I don't know. It kind of sounded pregame like he knew that